All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Another day, bro.
Hey, one more?
One more.
Yes.
One more. Welcome to At The Roundtable with, of course, Adrian Bill.
Yeah.
Y'all remember him from the last time.
Yeah.
Help us engage the man behind Charlotte in the Know. I'm Kerry Digsby, the guy with Urban-Tymes-Magazine, Music Magazine, and we are here. Yeah. So she ready, man.
I'm ready.
With our very, very special guest today. I'm pleased to actually have her. I'm going to let her do her own introduction of herself.
Okay. My name is Julie Wadley. I am the owner of Eli Simone Matchmaker Coaching based in Charlotte, North Carolina. I focus on bold, brilliant, and beautiful Black women. And I am a certified matchmaker, life and relationship coach. And I've been doing this business about 4 years. So I am delighted to be invited on this show to speak with Adrian and Carrie about some hot topics. So I'm ready.
Are y'all ready?
That's all I'm about to say. She's fully
I'm ready.
Man,
I'm ready.
This is about
Stay ready.
On, and as they say, So, interesting topic. Last podcast was great. We talked about chivalry. Covered a lot of good topics and pointers from Tika. And now we're here at the table and at the round table. And to whoever, said last week, as far as this is not a round table, it's a figure of speech, okay? It's just
That was Paul Bellamy. I saw that. That was Paul Bellamy.
It's a square table. It's a shape.
But you get the point, Paul.
Yeah, I couldn't call it at the square table. That doesn't
Right.
even sound cool.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
L7.
So today's topic, bro, and sis. I don't think they're ready for this one.
I don't know. I'm ready for this.
I don't know. It's a lively one.
Yeah, this could be a barn burner.
Yeah. And we ain't got to worry about the FCC.
Yeah, how about that?
So, topic of discussion. You and I were talking some time ago, bro, about words. The power of words.
Mm-hmm.
They shape, they can mold, they can influence. And you guys have seen it, as of lately on social media as well as on TV, things that have been transpiring. But we're going to get even deeper into words. I told you about one word that really irked me. And I want to see if it irks the people that are out there watching us on Facebook. The use of the N-word. Yeah.
Just to make sure that everybody's on the same page with the N-word, I'm gonna actually read a definition on what that entails.
So you're gonna define it now? Say.
Yes, I'm gonna define it.
Okay, go ahead and define it.
Basically, one dictionary that I actually pulled up online states it as to mean an ignorant, uneducated, foolish individual, regardless of race, color, religion, or sexual orientation. It also can be used as a noun, and it goes into saying that it is used in terms of actually referring to a Black person, used to actually describe a dark-skinned person. Let's see. And pretty much it talks about the inferiority and ignorance of that particular individual.
So what you're saying is, and this is coming from the dictionary.
Yes.
Unabridged.
Unabridged.
Right here in black and white. That everything that you just mentioned, it gives a negative connotation to it.
It does.
Okay.
That's correct. And there's positive out of this.
Okay.
You're not gonna eke any positivity out of that word.
No, not at all. Not at all. So I guess I'm gonna sit up here and pose a question to y'all. I'm not judging, I'm just posing a question.
That's a question.
So with that being said, why do we greet ourselves like that, calling ourselves the N-word? And like I said, please comment. You got any comments or questions about that, please go ahead and type them in, send them in, and we'll be more than happy to actually discuss it. But I personally don't understand it. I don't see the purpose of it, especially after reading that particular description of what the N-word means.
Yeah, that word has such a dark and dangerous
Yeah.
past. I mean, what it was used for as it relates to us and our history in this particular country. That word is associated with so much pain and so much strife, so that to hear it still being used in an alternate form,
Yes.
the connotation is still there. It's still negative. It's still used in a certain context, can still be hurtful. Used by a particular person or a particular group of people, said to another group of people, can be just as damaging, just as hurtful, and just as insightful
It can be,
as it used to be. So I understand how a lot of people who want, and I can only speak for African Americans or just Black people in general in this country. I can see how some of us want to move on from that.
Yes.
We want to move on from anything that reminds us of where we used to be, in the position that we used to be in, where we had to take the negativity. We had to take being called those names. We had to eat it, and we had to shove it down and take it.
Yes.
But now that we have choice, we have a semblance of freedom. Why do we continue to use it? Why do we continue to remind ourselves that that's what people thought of us as? But you have the other argument that we're taking back.
I
Put that in quotes.
I heard that statement a couple of times.
We're taking back that word and repurposing it as a term of endearment, as a term of familiarity with my brother, my sister, whatever. So it just depends on what side of the perspective you have on that word.
Exactly. Well spoken.
Very well spoken.
Oh, I knew that
one. Now, I don't use the word. It is not in my everyday vocabulary. Have I ever used it? Yes. Do I still hear it? Yes. Is it as hurtful to hear it from certain people? Yes. Is it hurtful to hear it from people who I know? No. So I'll give you an example.
Okay.
One of my really good girlfriends, she was, talking about something funny, and she just threw it out like, and I laughed because in that context, she was using it in the same way you would say heifer, or some other derogatory word that really you're not really using it in that way, but it's like, let me just tell you what this fool said. Let me just tell you what this ignorant person said. So in that context, she was using the the book definition of it, like this person's a fool, this person's ignorant, this person has done something stupid and silly. And I laughed because it was just the same. I felt it was just the same as her using another term. But if I heard it from someone who was non-Black, and that person was using it with the intent to disrespect me or marginalize me or downplay me or hurt me in some way, I get immediately offended. So sometimes it's about the person who's using it and the intention in which they are using it for.
I'll tell you something interesting. I told Carrie CD about this earlier today. I was speaking with my son last night. He asked me what the particular topic we were going to be talking about today. So I kind of expounded on it and actually explained to him what we were going to be talking about. He said, so one of the things you're going to be talking about is the N-word. He said, it's commonplace when I was at school. He said that we as African Americans, we greet other ethnicities with that particular word. And it came up one time was, well, why can't I use it
Yeah.
and y'all are freely using it.
Yeah.
And I was quick to want to actually take that to task, but then I thought about it. I said, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's a shameful point, but
let me tell you why I have an answer for that.
Okay, go ahead.
It's the same as if I call my sister a name. I'm like, listen, look at your heifer. You do blah, 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 blah. If somebody else outside of my family calls my sister a name, I get on the defensive. Yeah. Because again, it's about who the person is, who is saying it and who they're saying it to, and the intention that they're using it for. When you are in the company of family, and when I mean family, I mean other Black people who are in the same bucket as I am, who are in the same type of perspective I am. To us, it's like we can use familial language that may be offensive to other people's ears, but how we're using it amongst each other is not as offensive because it's family. You can say stuff to your family that other people can't say.
Okay.
But when other people say it, like, you don't know me like that. You don't know me like that to use that term on me. Like, I was in the park with my daughter, 4 years old at the time. This was a family park, and I see a bunch of teenagers of different ethnicities, and a Caucasian boy with a bunch of other African American boys. And this Caucasian boy it was rolling off his tongue. And I'm sitting here pushing my daughter on the swing, and my ears perked up. I'm like, okay, I'm hoping that one of these African American young boys are gonna say something to him. And they were like, yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
So this is where we're at now, where we're so comfortable with the word that anybody can use it. And I think that's what other non-Black people have an issue with, because they see other non-Black people using it now. Now it's become such a, it's really part of the language, acceptable language. So why do some people have an offense to it, but other people don't? It's confusing.
Hey, Tammy, what's going on? How you doing?
Hey, Tam.
Appreciate you joining. Crump, what's going on? Apologies, we got so involved in this. Let me tell you, this is going to be an interesting topic, so stay tuned. Do me a favor. Tell your mom and them, your daddy and them, all of them to get on here, because we definitely want questions and insight from you guys, all right? Now, interesting that you mentioned that. And if you're just tuning in, basically, we're talking about the N-word. One of many words we're going to be talking about. And I think you just mentioned how it is, roughly put, it's almost like a term of endearment when we know each other in comparison to, like you mentioned, at the park with your daughter. You hear a young brother of Caucasian persuasion using that type of language, and the young brothers did not check him. So, gotta play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Is it okay for us to use that as a term of endearment, considering, like the definition said, there's so much negativity involved, not to mention all of the suffering and transgressions that have come up from back during our predecessors, our family, some other individuals that have, came here and they were part of slavery and such. And is it okay to take a word of such negativity and try to flip it and make it positive? And I'm going to throw this out here, and if you're listening, I want you guys to chime in as well. But I remember just seeing not too long ago today when someone was just talking about on Instagram Kanye West and the rebel flag, in which he's got it draped over himself. He's thinking about quote unquote design wise.
I'm sorry, I just rolled my eyes.
Yeah. Okay. So you see what? Okay, you guys hear what I'm saying?
Okay.
So you got that. Then you have back probably about 10, 12 years ago, in which someone a designer wanted to take the swastika and flip it back around and use it for its predetermined use, which was supposed to be a symbol of peace, I think back in earlier times of Buddhism, and how it was brought over and changed, and now it became a lasting symbol of hate against those of the Holocaust and such.
Yep.
So does that word, is that word allowed to fall into that category, that type of, take a frown and flip it upside down, or what do you guys think?
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah. See, she's good.
I'll save it because I'm talkative. I'm just talkative. Let me just say this: that word will never be positive. That word will never be positive.
Okay.
When you think of terms of endearment, it doesn't necessarily have to be a positive word, but it is something that you use for people that you have a close relationship with. So, to me, term of endearment, when you think of that, it's like, okay, honey, sweetie, love, boo, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll say this: Insecure, HBO show.
Right.
The girlfriend, they be like, bitch,
hey, we about to bring those up. Hey,
so,
she's on.
in that time, okay, did you listen? Okay, because I was just watching it on the way here, so that's why it's in my head. And I was thinking about the topic, and I was like, it was. That word is flying, and along with other things.
Yes.
And so, and just as strong as the N word is to Black people in general, to women, the term bitch, hoe, cunt, those words coming from y'all is one thing. But when let's be clear.
Glad I don't use it.
Yeah. But coming from our friends.
Yes.
In the way that you say it, the tone that you use, and in the context that you're using it, it can be like a girl, that type of thing. Like, so while it will never be a positive word in and of itself, how you use it, the tone that you use it in the context is important. And that's just language, period. The language is organic. It's never going to remain the same, generation after generation. So how we use our words and in the context that we're using it, and our tone is so important, and who is saying it and who is receiving it, all of that is important when you think about words.
So, let me throw this in there real quick. Oh, yeah. I hear you, Tammy. Okay.
I can't see you.
Okay, I'm sorry, Tammy. I got to come over and see you. Okay, so Tammy said, like that person that drove into the crowd of people in Charlottesville. I got it. Okay, we're going to get to that. I know what you're about to say. Okay, so that's a very good point. We're gonna get to that. Okay, because that's on the list. So you're saying words, organic, they flow, they change due to, so I guess it would be acceptable. I come home, I'm an 18, 19-year-old, I come home, parents at the house. My dad said, hello, son, how you doing? How was your day? Oh, what up, mommy? Yo, G, it was all good. Yeah. You might. I'll holler at you later. And then all of a sudden, sister comes in, gets on your nerve, and you say, get out my room. You see what I'm saying? So I guess that's my question, and I want you to chime in as well, because you know how it is. What if your son came in and he said, he's introducing you to some friends, and he said, oh, that's my pops, that's mine.
Like that old saying goes, if you're picking yourself up off the floor, you already know. You already know. And my thing is, that's the question of the day, though. What do y'all feel about it as far as, should it not be used or should it be used? Because it's like a gray area with that.
Well, see, that's the thing. And mind you, I am not advocating for the word. Like I said, I do not use it. But when we're talking about words in general, and especially words that can be considered insightful, it's all about the audience, right? So I would never, forget the N word. If I'm never talking to my mother or father, I would never use the same, dialogue that I would with a friend of mine.
Right.
So I don't have to call my mom, the N word. If I ever said, girl, she's like, who Who? Who's your girl? No, that's for your friend. I'm your mother. So it doesn't even have to be a word like that. It's about your audience. So I'm not ever going to say you shouldn't do something, because that's not my job. My job is not to judge you or to police your words. But I will say, check your audience. Okay. I do have an issue, and this is where I struggle with this word in particular, because I do also have a problem with just non-Black people using that word publicly or privately. You see what I'm saying? Like that's the struggle that I have with it, because while I am more acceptable of Black people using that word privately and amongst friends, I wouldn't want to know or be aware of a non-Black person using that privately amongst their friends.
Well, let me throw this out here.
I know you're going to say.
and like I said, my son. Well, in that particular example where you were saying the young Caucasian brother was actually using those words, I guess, in the role of endearment. So now, if we give him the power to actually do such without actually checking them, that's where I guess I'm still kind of struggling with what's right or what's wrong.
Right, and that's my problem. It's like, I don't want to hear other people saying it. I don't care who you with. That's not a word that I feel like other people should be using, period. But again, that's where I struggle, because right or wrong, use it or shouldn't use it, who's using it, who's the audience, all of that matters. And so I mean, I don't have an answer. I struggle with that word.
Well, it's interesting too, because you just mentioned as far as the audience and other individuals using it, and I think that's what Tammy, I'm gonna throw you in real quick. People, if you're just joining us, is At The Roundtable. Very lively topic of discussion, which is words and the power that they carry, especially one we're talking about now, which is the N word. But we're going to get to some other things as well. It's interesting because you mentioned as far as other individuals, and Tammy was just chiming in because she was reflecting back on the situation that just occurred this past weekend in Charlottesville. And how, and this is all going back to the power of words, so bear with me. The power of words, how individuals, they gathered in order to have basically they were, you got some protesters versus those that were silently protesting. Individual that's come through with a car, unfortunately killed this young sister, and I say sister as a term of endearment, okay? It doesn't mean to be Black or white or whatever. So this young woman did some phenomenal work in her community, and unfortunately a life was lost, and people will not get to see that blessing given by her ever again. But what has happened is you had individuals that were there that, for all intents and purposes, was trying to use the power of their words to convey how they felt, their stance on certain beliefs, and it's been very unfortunate. So Tammy was just mentioning that how individuals, like you just mentioned, who use that word, it puts us in a position in which we get defensive because we don't know where they stand.
Right.
Would that be safe to say, bro, that basically if someone else besides African Americans use a word like that, we become defensive, we question their position in life as far as who they are and what they represent?
Yes. I would say so. I would say so. I was just still struggling with the fact that I can see some people using it as a term of endearment, and like I said, me personally, I don't use it a lot. And it even had me actually looking up something about one of my favorite comedians, Richard Pryor. Now, if y'all know Richard Pryor, Richard Pryor was a big proponent about actually using that word. Now, at a point through Richard Pryor's life, of course, he was a drug user, alcoholic and everything. And he talked to his psychiatrist and his wife, and both of them recommended that he take a trip away from America. So he took a trip to Kenya. And during his visit at Kenya, he heard a voice in his head. And the voice said, Richard, what do you see around you? And Richard spoke back. He said, all people are different colors. He said, the voice then said, do you see any N-words around you? No, I just see people. So, ergo, do we or should we be using this word, that connotation anymore?
So
Yeah.
I guess here's the crossroads, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I do think that the words that we use publicly
Yes.
are very different from the words that we use privately.
Mm-hmm.
How I talk now, how I talk when I'm out and about, talking to different people, how I talk in my professional world is
Yes.
very different from how I talk when I'm at home.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that word should be uttered in public, black or not, non-black.
Mm-hmm.
Because the danger in doing that publicly is that word becomes normalized. And then everybody's like, okay, it's just part of the lexicon.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can interchange it with, X, Y, and Z, and it's no big deal.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Totally right.
The problem is the definition of that word and the history behind that word. It helps to solidify the marginalization of Black people, in my opinion.
I agree with that.
And so in that definition, they actually have that this is a term used for Black people.
Mm-hmm.
So when you normalize that, you're normalizing the association of negativity with Black people. And that's what I don't want to continue in public.
Totally.
So that's why I really don't want to hear that word out in public. What you do behind closed doors, I am not going to police or judge. And I don't want to. And so I think, and I can't remember who said it about that, Tammy, the person who was referring to what happened in Charlottesville, my alma mater, because I went to University of Virginia.
Oh, wow.
And so it was very that whole weekend I was just jacked up because one, it's my home, but it was also my birthday, so I was like, no, and I'm from Virginia.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of things going on with me that weekend hearing this.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem when we start using words like that is that it emboldens other people to use it and to say, oh well, you use it, so I'm gonna use it, but the way you're using it is different from the way I'm using it. But then to a third party, it doesn't matter because the word is being used.
Right.
So how about we just remove it from everybody's mouths in public? I don't care what you do. I don't care how you think. I don't care what you believe behind closed doors. As long as it does not negatively impact people outside of your house and outside your doors, I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to say what's right or wrong for you and yours in your home.
Yeah.
But when you bring that outside and it's impacting other people, that's when I have a problem.
That's interesting, Wadley, because that kind of leads into the next one that we were talking about. I think she mentioned that. Yeah, she kind of mentioned this one as well as a couple others, and we were talking about it briefly. Guys, if you're tuning in, the power of words at the round table. And you said you just found out about this one.
Well, I want to know that. Y'all moving at each other like
we already missed it.
Okay, got you.
The word that starts with a T.
Okay.
Yeah. My goodness. And now we're shifting gears because we pretty much established the fact of the word, the N-word, and how it's transgressed through history and how it's a word of negativity, and we know what comes with it. But now we have young people, and young people are coming into society, and they're using various terms that are acceptable, and they're putting. I think Tammy, you mentioned this earlier. We were talking some time ago, rather, and there's levels to this thing. And it's incredible because now young people are coming up with their own dialogue.
Yes.
And the dialogue is almost coded.
Yep.
And what's happening is unless you're a parent that is in the phone and has the playbook on some of this terminology, you're clueless to what your young person is talking about.
Yeah.
So one thing we talked about was thought. And
And Julie, what did you say the thought was again?
Can I say it?
Yeah, go ahead.
That hoe over there.
Huh.
So we took 4 words.
Yep.
And we took the letters from each word.
Yep.
Now, mind you, one of the words is a word that if you was called that back in the day, it was like the scarlet letter. You was wearing it, and
Still,
just
not even back in the day. Today.
But what's happened is our young people have now taken 4 words, and that main word that's in there that is such a negative word that throws a woman under the bus, makes her just not even acceptable to society. And they put this word together, and now they've got levels to this thing. There's contests. There's individuals girls that actually talk about who can be the best thought.
Wow.
And that's scary to me because I have 3 sons, and one of which is about to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see him. So just bear with me. Coming home from college. Hey guys. Hey mom. Hey dad. Want to introduce you to my thought. She's level 2. I can't see that. I'm sorry. That's mind blowing.
I know this is your example, but would your son really be introducing someone that he considers a thought?
He wouldn't, but that's because, like you mentioned, in my household and what I put in him, he knows without a shadow of a doubt. There's a level of respect, and you know, like I tell my sons, you want to bring someone home that is doesn't really mirror, but has some of the qualities of your mother: caring, loving, involved in the community, beautiful, things of that nature. But there are some young men out here that are falling to the wayside because they don't get that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they look at those young ladies who are looking at them as acceptable. I'm a thought, and they're running with it, and it's unfortunate. So you're losing on both sides.
Yeah, you know, I know we're talking about words, but you know, it's sad because we are now living in a society where it's not being positive and having straight A's or being intelligent and having all of these accolades and achievements is not as popular as it is being sexy or promiscuous or all the guys desiring you. I mean, we had some of that in our generation. If that everybody wanted to be popular at some point,
right.
But what is considered popular now is so negative. It's like, how many likes can I get on my Instagram, my Facebook page? How many guys can I get to talk about me or want me or things like that? So when we say girls wanting to be thoughts, I don't think that they are actually wanting to be thoughts. I think they want to be desired and popular. But how we're going about it in today's society with our young children, they're seeing videos, they're seeing music videos, they're seeing, media where everything is about sex, everything is about, what you look like. We're sending the wrong message. Or I shouldn't say we're sending the wrong message. We're not providing enough counter positive messages to them to say, okay, yes, you can be popular that way, but what's going to last is doing it the right way. Be popular because you're the smartest person in your class, or you are a student body president, or you're doing things, you're going places. That should be put on a pedestal, but it's not.
Exactly.
It's not. How many stories do we hear about valedictorians, or you going to great colleges, or you created this great invention, or you started a business? No, we're talking about who's sleeping with who, who's had this baby, Black China, Rob Kardashian, the Kardashians, Tyga, and it's like, what are we as society boosting up?
Exactly.
And what we're boosting up as society is what children are going to follow. So I think it's our responsibility as adults, as people, as society who controls the media, controls what our children see and hear and internalize. We need to put more effort into boosting up the positives, because we just don't have enough of it.
I agree.
We have the bad stuff in spades, but we don't have enough of the positivity to counteract the negativity.
Exactly. I was just saying something about that not too long ago. How it seems like negativity sells today.
Oh, it does. Absolutely. It's the train wrecks. Everybody wants to, see a train wreck and say, okay, glad that's not me.
Mhm.
That's entertaining. Like, what a mess that person is. I'm glad that's not me. Or it makes me feel better about my situation because at least it's not that bad.
Yeah. So what would be a workaround with something like that? Because I'm kind of curious. I don't know if any parents out there, and I hope that you're not going through a situation like this. But
Mm-hmm.
what would be a workaround or a resolution to help make sure that their children, these young ladies, stay on course and not actually want to have a label like that? That follows you. That follows you. That's a stigma that I still to this day don't understand why anybody would want to actually have that.
Yeah. I mean, to me, this the old saying, it's a real old saying, but the I don't mind is the devil's playground. So put your children in things that are positive. Put your children in things in around people who are positive and people that are doing things, because the busier they are doing positive things, they don't have time to think about how popular can I be. No, I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
I got goals to accomplish. I got things to do. So if you don't have time to be that engaged in your child's life because you're busy, maybe you're a single parent, or you just have responsibilities outside of being so focused on your children, have them, give them mentors, give them activities, put them in things. There's a lot of free resources, the rec, the why. I mean, there's so many resources out here that we haven't had before.
Yeah.
And social media can be a tool for that. You can look up camps and free things that your children can get into, or organizations. I mean, there's like a ton of organizations around Charlotte alone that are positive mentors and positive things for your children to be in. So get them busy doing other things that they don't have time to worry about the negativity.
Agreed. In addition to that, I guess it's important for that mother or that father to be that role model as well.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going around acting like what you actually watch on social media or TV, then that child doesn't have a chance but to actually follow suit with what they're actually saying.
Yeah.
So I think that you also should be mindful, and you should be that parent that actually goes through phones every now and then.
Oh, yeah.
You should be that parent that I think you want to know who your children are hanging around. You want to meet their parents.
Yeah.
That type of parent, and I don't see that as much these days. And that was I'm talking about another topic that I'm sure we'll touch on maybe another show. But you know how you used to have that neighborhood mother that if she saw you getting out of line or seeing you hanging around the wrong people, she'd call you over.
Yeah.
Maybe don't be doing that, or maybe you might not want to hang around that particular individual.
Yeah, we don't have that
No,
anymore.
but today when somebody attempts to look out for a child for their best interest, they're getting cussed out by that person's parents.
Yeah. It's tough because our physical community is not our community anymore. I can't tell you what my neighbors. I mean, I don't even know my neighbors like that. So and I that's not how I grew up. I grew up in a situation where everybody from the block knew each other. I knew somebody. We all knew, the kids around and things like that. But now we're all kind of in our own little bubble. So our community is our church. Our community is the organizations or dance or basketball league or whatever. So you have people who are cannot physically be watching your children 24 hours a day. So it's tough. And you mentioned before you may have family members who are not positive, and they're not giving their children that positivity. So I say to those people, do those children a favor and stay away. Fill them up with other people. Like, you get them close to people who are positive, because maybe sad to say that there are people who can't help being in the lifestyle that they're in, that it's quote unquote too late for them. But you don't have to have the child around it. I mean, my dad, he was a smoker, and I had never seen my father smoke. And the reason why he almost denies it to this day, but because he didn't want us to follow in that bad habit. He didn't want us growing up seeing, him smoking. So I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I want to be like my dad. I want to smoke. So if you know you're doing something harmful or potentially dangerous to a child who's watching you, keep it away from them.
Yes, totally agree. See, you've been in the media for a long time as well. So, what have you seen in media that kind of actually drives and touch on this particular subject?
It's interesting. I was trying to review a couple of things that people were saying, but
Uh-huh.
it's interesting because being a part of media, you do have that luxury to see things behind the scenes and how individuals react and how individuals speak with each other. So again, we're going back to the topic of how words are.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I can honestly say is being a part of media, you actually see a lot of celebrities and how they're represented. And we had this discussion about this some time ago on how and I'm gonna go back and I'm still feeling salty about this, but when the Obamas were in office, it was amazing how Michelle carried herself. Uh, Everyone saw how she was an intelligent black woman, how she interacted with all races, how she interacted with children, and she had their well-being in mind. Okay, so now you've got this as a goal that is set for young women, but then you also have some young women who started out in strip clubs and now they have become famous overnight. They are now writing their own ticket, so to speak. No matter where they go, they can show up in events, parties, whatever sort of get music deals, things of that nature. So to me, we'll go back to the word of abide. To me, it's telling me that, okay, you can go from this high caliber individual and something that, you will want to put in front of a young lady and say, you know what, you can be that when you grow up.
Yep.
And now you got young ladies who are now seeing, okay, so I can go and strip and I'll become famous. Someone will see me, whether I make a raunchy video or I get into fights or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
And even with Real Housewives of Atlanta and all these other shows in which what's happening is the negativity is becoming the norm.
Yes.
Yes.
And you see a lot of individuals who have now banked on that.
Yep.
And by them banking on that and becoming famous overnight and making a lot of money, it's telling our young people, this is the plateau that you have to reach for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Gone are the days of, young man, you go to school, you work hard, you go get your degree, and then you get yourself a job. Now it's saying, no, you can just act any kind of way, be irresponsible, say whatever comes out of your mouth, and guess what? You'll be an overnight success and make millions of dollars, and you don't have to own up to anyone. And I think, my position, in social media is to show the positive side of things, because so many times we see the negative. My question has always been to our parents, what can we do to curb that mentality? You go from basically the Huxtables to now you got Big Brother.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what you're putting in front of the kids, and you're saying this is acceptable. So you go from basically you've got a father who's a gynecologist, you've got a mother who's a lawyer, and they're raising all these kids in order to become successful. And now you're going over here, and you've got these reality shows that are basically telling you, just go ahead, get drunk, act a fool, do whatever you need to do, because you're going to be famous. And so what if your kid, 20 years from now, see you act that way? It doesn't make a big difference because you made a lot of money.
Yeah.
So how do we go about educating our young people? And to be honest, how do we go about educating our adults and saying, you know what, set a better tone, set a better precedence for them, because this is our future.
Yeah.
So, now you can get on one of these young people's phones and you look at these little, 3 or 4 letters, and it means them having sex a certain way. So again, the power of words. So someone had to be creative in order to come up with that code, in order for them to be able to communicate with each other and know what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, what level they are, what color scheme, whatever the case may be. And the parents are unbeknownst until it's too late. So how do we go about curbing the thought process, not only with our kids, but also our parents as well, like you mentioned, for them to be involved? From the media side, I see it all the time.
Mm-hmm. And I have such a love-hate relationship in my head with media, because I think what sells is sex and money, right? At the end of the day, everything boils down to sex and money. You make more money in order to have more sex because we're human. We want to procreate. So everything boils down to sex and money. So what we're seeing now is the red tape being strict. Right now, you can go right to the sex. Right now, you can go right to making money. You don't need to go to college anymore. You don't need to learn anything. You can throw up a video. You can throw up something that'll get as many hits as possible, and you're making money. When you're making money, that to some guys, to whoever, that equates to more popularity, more sex. So right now we are seeing media as a direct reflection of that. And in our society, money rules. Everything is if it sells, I'm with it. I don't care if it's morally questionable. If it's selling, I'm with it. That's why you see music today. You don't even have to be talented. As long as you can get people to buy this CD, to buy these singles, to buy into this stream, I'm with it. So we are seeing what's really important to society. So how do parents, as one or two people, combat that? And it starts really young. We have to get the babies. We got to get them when they are babies, when they are complete and utter sponges. Their immediate circle, the ones in the home, have to be that baseline. We have to tell them, we have to show them what is really important at the end of the day. Because when you bring them out into the world at 4, 5, 6 years old, we can't control what they hear, what they see. So we have to teach them early what is important, what is right, what is at the end of the day, how do you want to be? How do you want to show up in this world? Yes, do you want to make money or do you want to be happy? Do you want to have lots of people? Do you want to be popular or do you want to be fulfilled? Or do you want, you want true friends? Do you want a bunch of friends that's going to, be leeches? Or do you want, real people that's going to make you happy, make you fulfilled, make you, love you? What do you want at the end of the day? We all want to be happy. Like, you have to get to the root of what it is that we all want and then focus on that. So media, society, parents, we all have a role to play. But parents and the people who are in the children's lives at a young age, we are responsible for setting that baseline. As a society, I feel like we need to. I don't know how to make it so that money is not the root. Money is not the end goal. How do you do that? How do you go from saying, okay, we're not going to make less money. We're going to make less money, but we're going to do the right thing. How do you tell an executive that we're not going to go for the quick dollar? We're going to go for what's right? Because that's business, right? It's the dichotomy of business and morality.
Right.
It's what we as an American society grapples with. What is morally right? What is justice? And what is profitable? You can see that what's going on right now. I mean, if we really want to talk about it, that's why Trump didn't denounce what happened. And Nate, let's get it real. Let's be real.
Oh, look at the time.
Right? I mean, I don't know who your audience is, so I'm gonna say what I feel.
Hey, you free. We good, but
I mean, when you really think about it, some people in the White House choose not to say certain things because it's going to mess up the goal. So what is profitable or what is justice or what is right? That's what I think we're struggling with. So going back to words are incredibly powerful, but it comes with a responsibility.
Yes, it do.
So it just depends on what is your goal at the end of the day. Is your goal to be right, to be moral, to be just, to be on the right side of things, or do you want to make as much money as possible and get out of here?
See, I could go on talking about this subject all day, another hour, but I know we are pretty much getting close to
Okay.
that sign-off time.
Okay. Y'all don't want to see me going off a tangent because I will.
So y'all, you know we're gonna have to bring it back. I mean, she's wow. Yeah.
Hey, and we appreciate everybody chiming in too with your comments and everything. And
Yeah. Hey, Orlando, how you doing this evening? Thank you, Brandon. Brandon just said he does not want to use that type of word. He doesn't like when his friends use that word with him. Good point, man. Definitely good point. You know what? We might have to. Yeah, this might be a two-parter. Yeah. Wow. This is Everybody's just chiming in. Man, I told you. People want to talk.
That word is. I mean, there's so many layers to that word, and the use of it. It's tough. It's tough to say, what we should and shouldn't do. Yes, of course, there's a should and shouldn't, but are we gonna actually do it?
That's the $64,000 question that comes to mind, because we're governed by basically not only what we've been taught over the years. That's one of the things, a foundation, so to speak.
Yeah.
But from that foundation, when a young lady was talking about that to me today, you can lay down an incredible foundation with your young people, with your child. But when they leave from your sight, their interaction with those in society is what's going to outline basically what they're going to do for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And you hope and pray that you put a good seed in them that will carry them throughout wherever they go, whether it's college, whether it's the workforce, becoming an executive, to starting a family. But you always hope that foundation is there. So the power of words and just bringing everything back around to what we were talking about, it's incredible how words, like you mentioned, it's organic, it evolves, it touches individuals, and it allows them to communicate effectively and sometimes communicate ineffectively.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that that's the case, but this is the society that we live in. And it's incredible that we've also mentioned how family is very important, and those peers that are in and around you can help guide you. Sometimes we use those words as terms of endearment, and we know it's amongst us, but then as soon as someone else from outside looking in use those words, we become defensive. We and a lot of times I don't even think it's defensiveness, but I think it's a reminder of everything that has transpired, leading to where we are right now.
Yes.
So basically, you've got to share with me, bro, one last thing, and then we'll get ready to give all of our people good shout outs and such.
Well, if I could end it on one note and leave the Facebook family with something, take pride in yourself. If you wouldn't say it around your mother or your grandmother or your father or your grandfather, then don't say it. That's just me. Take pride in yourself.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it with that.
Strong and silent type.
Good.
I had to throw that in. We'll get real serious. I'm sorry. I can act silly sometimes, y'all, but I just had to throw that out. I'll echo those same sentiments, bro, because I would hope that we do remember a lot of words and their meanings, and how over the years people have sacrificed so much for us to be where we are. And also, from what was said earlier, if you don't want anybody else to say it, then think about it before you even say it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Especially to my young people, my sons, if you're watching this and such, just think about it. I put it this way: if you don't want anybody going out and calling your mom, your cousins, your grandmother, or whatever sort, that B word, or call them a thought, or whatever the case may be, if you know that's such a hurtful word, then try to refrain using it yourself, because if you don't, then what you're doing is you're opening the door and allowing someone else to come in and say they can do it, and then you want to get defensive, you put yourself in a precarious position. That's right. Say that 3 times fast. So yeah, with that being said, I want to shout out real quick the House of Lamont, located at 116 West 4th Street. Hello, Lamont and family that are there. You guys are doing an amazing job. Definitely want to recognize them, because the city of Charlotte recognized their business and wanted to bring them downtown to revitalize Black businesses downtown, as well as small business owners. So shout out to you, Lamont, for all that you're doing, giving back to the community as well. We definitely want to shout out Advent Co-working, where we are in this studio, for allowing us the opportunity to do our podcast on a bi-weekly basis and reach the masses in a positive way. And Dana Sidbury, Motivation Marketing, definitely want to give a shout out to you because you were just on the Charlotte in the Know podcast with Adrian Biddle.
Appreciate that, Dana.
And I'll see you on Tuesday, Dana.
See how all these paths cross?
Interacting, overlapping, onions, layers. And, well, it's almost that time. So, bruh,
All right.
you know we got to thank her.
Miss Julie.
Julie.
We so greatly appreciate you coming in today
I had
and
fun.
actually joining us.
Amazing.
And before we completely sign off, just let the audience know again your business.
Yes, so Eli Simone is a personal matchmaking, relationship, and life coaching business. We are based in Charlotte, and if you are struggling or having some issues and need some support around dating, life, marriage, then please look me up on Facebook. It's Eli Simone LLC, and you can contact me at julie.wadley@elisimone.com.
I had the chance to check her out, family, and trust me, young lady know what she's doing.
Thank you.
Because we all need love.
Yes, we do. We
Yep.
do.
Mm-hmm. Say that one more time, Carrie.
We all need love.
Very white over here, y'all. Very white over here. Just to give one quick shout out, well, 2, 3, 4 maybe. I gave a shout out to my younger sister last time, Felicia. I'm pushing you to the side now. I'm giving one to my brother.
See how you
Give
do.
one to my brother Maurice. Also, my second cousin just recently had a birthday, first birthday, Layla. Happy belated birthday. Also, first cousin Danielle, she's getting ready to go down that aisle. So I'd like to wish you and your future husband all congrats. So I look forward to actually visiting you and seeing you there at the wedding.
And guys, that's it. That is At The Roundtable. We definitely appreciate you guys showing up and being part of the Facebook Live. If we did not get a chance to shout your name out, charge it to our heads, not our hearts, because once we get involved in dialogue, our main goal is to bring the positive side to you, and then hopefully the dialogue will continue. And if you get a chance, share this with other people out on Facebook, and stay tuned. In 2 weeks, we'll be back with another hitting topic and a wonderful co-host. Thanks again, guys.
All right.
Thanks, guys.